All right, today we're going over the easiest way to remember the rotator cuff muscles, plus we're going to cover actions and insertions for good measure too. Those are things you're going to want to know as well. So to start off with, the rotator cuff is a group of 4 muscles and their tendons that come together to create a cuff around the humeral head to provide stability and of course move the arm around. So right here we have the humerus, and of course this is the scapula where all 4 of these muscles originate from. So the easiest way to remember the names of these muscles is with the acronym SITS. So let's go one by one and fill out this acronym together. So to start off with, up here we have the supraspinatus, and it's called the supraspinatus because supra meaning above or superior to the spine of the scapula. So if you see this bony outcropping right here, this is the spine of the scapula, and the supraspinatus is just named because it's above that spine. So the infraspinatus below here is basically named for the same reason. Infra meaning inferior or below that spine, so that's why it's called the infraspinatus. The teres minor is this small muscle right here, also part of the rotator cuff, and basically intertwined with the infraspinatus. This model does show some other muscles, but I don't want to get into that. I don't want to confuse anybody. So let's just turn around and get to the subscapularis. So this muscle right here is the big subscapularis, and it's called subscapularis because sub means under or beneath. So you can think of like a submarine is below the water, underneath the water. The subscap is below or underneath the scapula. All right, let's go into the actions and insertions. So I do have a few stories to help you kind of memorize these things. Once you get a little more accustomed to it, it'll kind of come naturally to you. But when you're just starting out, these stories will kind of help you remember everything real easy. So let's start with the subscapularis. As you can tell, the subscap is the only muscle on this side of the scapula. So I kind of think of him, he's kind of like a guy that lives alone in a basement, kind of a subdweller, if you will. He's all alone and he's very introverted. So I think introverted because his main action is internal rotation. So I kind of mix those two together. Since he likes to be alone, he's also the only muscle that attaches to the lesser tubercle of the humeral head. So all the other rotator cuff muscles attach to the greater tubercle. They want to be in the greater spot, you know, the best place in the shoulder. They want to all come together and party. But the subscapularis, he's a loner, okay? So he doesn't want to go to where all the noise is, all the action. He's fine with going to the lesser tubercle of the humerus. So I think of him as a loner, and that reminds me of the lesser tubercle. He's the only muscle that attaches there. So while the subscapularis is very introverted, on the other side of the scapula we have the infraspinatus and the teres minor, and they are very big extroverts. You can think of them, they're like best friends, they go together everywhere, you can barely tell them apart, and they're extroverts because they both externally rotate the humerus. And since they're great friends, of course, they go to the same place together, they go to the greater tubercle of the humerus. So the greater tubercle you can think of as kind of like the cool